Welcome to the booth. My name is CJ.
And I'm Justin.
And on today's podcast, we have the pitcher for the LA Dodgers, Kendal Williams,
who gives us an inside look at what it takes to play in the major leagues.
I remember when I used to play pro.
I don't think juniors was pro.
Dude, they don't need to know that.
I know. I use the same line all the time, but whatever. Today, Kendal shares with us 3 key points to being successful. We talk time management, confidence, and battling adversity.
And don't forget about his story towards the end where he talks about his draft experience.
Yeah, that was very interesting. All personal experience that hasn't been shared before. So
without a further ado, enjoy the podcast.
Then I got the car, dealing with like the insurance stuff. Thank you. Attorneys, like all the baseball, the content. My family just came in town. It's nuts. Then I have a whole child. Like, you know what I mean? It's a lot, bro.
Yeah, it is.
How do you balance that time? You seem like you got a lot going on. How do you find the balance?
I feel like, honestly, mostly it's just like I wake up and I focus on the baseball stuff first. Like everything is oriented around the baseball, like the eating, the training, whatever, recovery. And then after that, it's more just like, what else do I have to do? And I have set 100 reminders on my phone to remember everything. But like, yeah, it's more just like get what I need to done first and then figure it out later kind of thing.
Is it ever hard for you to get out there? Like you ever wake up in the morning and be like...
Just like everybody else, yeah, bro. I wake up and I don't want to get out of bed some days too, but like those are the days that you figure out who you are. Like you got to get out of bed, you got to go out there, you got to get your work done. So I feel like it makes it better though, because like if you are struggling to get up or struggling to go get your work in, and then you do go do it, it almost like makes you feel even more like good about yourself because like, damn, like I didn't want to be here, I still came in, got good work. Like I'm a dog. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Can you elaborate or like describe? Because I know I feel that. I get in the morning, I got my alarm set at 6 a.m. It goes off, and then I have that mental battle. It's like, I don't know, maybe I should sleep in, 10 more minutes, one snooze. Do you feel like that with like the morning or going to the gym? And what does that mindset feel like, and how do you get over it right there?
I just like everybody else, the same thing. Like not every day, like a lot of days it's pretty easy because like I'm routine oriented. So like I'm used to getting up early, used to going to the gym, whatever. But like it's just more thinking about other people that I'm competing with getting up and going to do it too, and it kind of like lights a fire under your ass, and you're like, okay, like I'm not gonna let them beat me. As small as it may seem, like every day matters, you know what I mean? Because like those pile up, the little things turn into big things. Next thing you know, like you've made huge strides, or you're in the exact same place you were 2 months ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's that whole compound effect in the book that we always talk about. Is that cumulative growth. If you take that one day off, it might not seem like a lot, but somebody else isn't taking that day off. And if you continuously build and grow, you'll be surprised 6 months how much you grow between someone who doesn't put in the work and someone who is putting in the work. The
big thing too is like people worry so much about like the destination instead of just like building the habits on a daily basis that are going to get you to where you want to go. Like if you just set your schedule up right and you stay committed to it and you do it and take it one day at a time, you'll look up and you'll be where you want to be before you even realize how far you've come. Kind of thing.
So we were talking, and like I remember at dinner you were mentioning how you played a couple different sports, right?
Yeah.
So like, why baseball? Like, what is it about baseball that made you fall in love with it?
Honestly, as a kid, my dad used to always tell me I would just pick stuff up and just chuck it, like everything. I wanted to throw stuff as a kid all the time. And he played college hoops, so like we were like a pretty sports-oriented family anyways. And I played basketball like for a long time until like 8th grade freshman year, until I was doing both in middle school, and I was playing varsity for both at the same time too. But as soon as I got the first offer for baseball, it was like, okay, like maybe I can do something with this, you know what I mean? So I feel like at that point, I kind of just stopped the basketball and I was like, all right, let's try to make a career out of it, kind of thing.
So do you think the love, like you had the same love for both of those, but the fact that it was almost validated in baseball allowed you to kind of grow push from further there?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like no one's going to do something they're not good at, you know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
So naturally, I just kind of like took that route.
Any big failures along the way as a kid?
Like personally?
Yeah, or like with baseball, like something that incorporated, like, was there a time where you didn't think you were going to go and play professional at all?
It wasn't, I don't think there was a time where I thought that I was like going to fail. There was definitely times as a kid where like I thought about just quitting and like being actual kid and like going and having more of a social life, going and like partying, as bad as it sounds. But like as a kid, especially because I went to IMG, like the sports school, you just like the childhood kind of got like pushed down a little bit, and I was more of just like an athlete than a kid first for most of my childhood. So I think like I definitely went through patches where like obviously everyone fails at some point. You struggle, like whether I had a couple bad tournaments as a kid, and then like my dad was hard on me, and like just those two things compounded. And then I look at it, all my homies are going and they're on boats, or they're going and they're hanging out and they're having fun, and I'm like, well shit, I'm waking up and I'm training, and like this sucks, you know what I mean? So like more like that side of things.
Yeah, definitely. I personally feel like I can relate a lot to that.
Me as well.
When I was playing hockey, because we had to travel a lot, so it's like we grew up in Florida, but when I was 15, I left. So when my friends were doing the same thing, posting the Snapchats, posting the videos, sitting in Canada, Alaska, just in the cold, looking at these like, wow, what could my life be right now?
Exactly.
How do you bounce back from that? How do you say like, you know what, like now people look at my social media, or they look at you and they're like, okay, maybe actually I want to be in his shoes. How do you stay on that track?
I think a lot of it too was just like the support system I had around me. Like my dad could see that like I could have been something in baseball, and like some of the other people around me like pushed for that. And so I think like just having the right people around you to keep you on track and like make sure you're doing what you're doing and not like stray too far off the path was a good thing.
Do you believe, because I'm always curious about this, we actually talked about this as well, and it's like I feel you have two types of people. There's people that can almost fuck around and like they can make it just as far, and you got people that really got to put in the work. Do you feel that because you went through that rigorous training as a kid and like not being able to really have that kid's life, is that why you're here now? Like, do you believe that most people would get, majority of people would have a better route doing it that way than maybe just kind of screwing around?
I'd say a majority for sure, but also too, it's super easy to burn out.
Yeah.
Like most normal people, like I definitely don't think I'm normal in that sense. Like my dad's like one of the most driven people I know, and I'm sure everyone says that, but like really, like he's OCD driven. Like he wakes up sunrise, works till sunset. Like doesn't matter if he needs to, he can't not. Like that's just how he is. So like, yeah, I think that if I didn't get pushed as hard as I did by my dad, and then also to buy into it as a kid, because like it's not just him. Like you got to do it yourself at the end of the day. But I think if it wasn't for that, like I would have been a normal, just degenerate high school kid. I would have been partying, drinking, doing things I wasn't supposed to, and like I definitely wouldn't be here right now. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the draft.
Yeah, that's gonna be such an interesting process.
I mean, what exactly you want to know about it?
Where were you? What were you doing? Like, what was going on in your head?
Everything. So for the draft, I knew I had a decent idea of kind of like somewhat of where teams were like valuing me at the time. Like my agent talked to teams, like everybody's bouncing information off of each other. But like, again, the draft is just so crazy. Like they say one thing, do another, then some, like they might want, so basically they all get their draft boards of like kids they want at certain picks, like how much they're worth, how much they value them. And then they might be like, they're ready to pick this kid, and then the team in front of them takes them, and they're like, okay, so who do we take now? And so it's just like boom, boom, boom. But I was in Florida at high school, at my house across the street, and I was going to do like a big draft party, whatever, have cameras. Like my school asked to bring cameras, do that whole thing. And I was like, on the off chance that this just doesn't go how I want to, I'm not about to have 200 people here and a camera crew and like embarrass myself and just like be depressed. So I had like 30, 40 people, like close friends, family. We had like a party. And honestly, the whole day leading up to it, I just tried not to think about it. We all went to the beach and we just like kicked it, tried to do everything to keep my mind off of it and like not stress about it, even though I was, because it's a huge decision as like a 17, 18-year-old kid. I'm either about to sign basically my life away and I'm going to go be a piece of property and play baseball for however long, and I'm going to skip college, or I'm going to go on the campus at Vanderbilt and I'm going to sit in a classroom and still play baseball and go that route. But yeah, I went to the beach all day, tried to just keep my mind off of it, went home, got ready for it. We were sitting in the living room and like just watched pick by pick by pick go by. And like, it's a scary feeling, dude. Like until it happens, you're just so worried it's not going to happen. And like all the bad thoughts creep into your head. But once I got the phone call, the Blue Jays called my agent called me, and they were like, hey, like they want to take you here. This is the amount they want to give you. And I was like, yep. let's do it. So I knew before I knew what pick they were going to take me before it came up. So I went outside and took that phone call, and like everybody was inside just like sitting staring at the TV screen. And I walked in like knowing what was going to happen. So that was like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Like knowing they're about to call my name, but no one else in the room did. It's giving me chills thinking about it, honestly. But like walking in there and like they called my name, the whole place went crazy. I got a good video of it actually.
Yeah.
It was dope.
You have to send it over so we can add it into the video.
Yeah.
About how long after you found out and you were in the room did it get announced, or did the draft happen?
I want to say they told me I was the 52nd pick. I want to say the Blue Jays called me at like pick 49, like I want to say it's 2.5 minutes between each pick. So like 5-7 minutes before I got picked, I walked in there and I was sitting there with the biggest smile on my face because I knew something everybody else didn't.
Was there any doubt at that moment before they announced your name still, and they had told you that it was like maybe like something fishy could happen here?
For sure, just because like I said, it's so just like inconsistent, and there's no no one knows how the draft works. It all just kind of like whatever happens. So like you can't. That's the biggest issue too, is so many young kids and agents and everybody want to try to like figure it out. Like good luck. Everyone's going to keep trying because you can't figure it out. Like you just got to put in the work, put the people around you that you think are in your corner, and like do it the best you can. And if it's supposed to happen, it will. Yeah.
How do you deal with, because okay, for me personally, my hockey career, the reason why I think the big reason why I stopped playing was because I couldn't get out of my head. Like, and it wasn't necessarily like I was having failures. It was, I was constantly thinking like, oh, this and that. What if I let up this goal, that goal? So like, how do you deal with that? You know, especially during the draft and like kind of keeping your head away from things is like,
I feel like you just gotta, it all goes back to like the work you put in, like especially because also too, once you get in professional sports, like obviously you're a pro for a reason, you know what I mean? So like you gotta remember that at the end of the day. A lot of it's just perspective. Again, like you see little kids when you're a pro that look up to you and you're like, okay, like I was that kid, and like now look where I am. So that gives you that little like confidence boost again. But honestly, the way I've said this before too, and like I'm a person who like I hate losing more than I like winning. So like I'm such a competitor. Like I would much rather like, I don't really care as much about the winning. It's just like if you beat me, that does not sit right with me. Whether it's like small things, big things, whatever. But like especially when it comes to my job and like what I've spent my whole life doing, like it's tough to do. And I think with baseball too, like you play so much and you play so many games, like 162 games a year, like you're gonna fail, dude. Like there's no way around it. And so like that was an adjustment for me getting into pro ball. Was in high school I didn't fail. Like I was like, honestly, just based off of pure talent, like I was better than most kids I was playing against. And then obviously I went to IMG, so that just amplified it. And like I was surrounded by kids who were better too. So like we didn't lose. And then you go into pro ball and you're playing against dudes who are from the DR and they train their whole life to get off their island and take care of their family and take care of their kids when they're 16, 17. Like it's crazy. So like it's just more like, I don't know, it's all just super, super competitive. And you just got to keep putting in the work, dude. Like you're going to fail, but know that what you're putting in is what you're going to get out.
What was like the moment you realized, I guess, because like you high school and prior to pro, you're like big fish, small pond. And what was like that first defiant moment where you got to pro ball and realized like, oh, now I'm the small fish in like this big pond again?
Honestly, it hit a lot harder when I got traded. So I got drafted by Toronto in 2019. I played my rookie season there in Florida, and then went to San Diego for the off season because that's usually where I train. Showed up at spring training in 2020. We were there for like 5 days. COVID hit. Everyone thought the world was ending, and so they were like, okay, season's probably not going to happen. We don't know what's going on, so they sent everyone home. And so I went back to San Diego, started training, and then I was there for a week or two. I woke up to a text from one of our higher ups with Toronto who like, you shouldn't be getting text from unless it's like really good or really bad kind of thing. Yeah. And so he was like, call me when you wake up. I called him and he was like, hey man, like we were super excited to get you on board. Like we're happy we drafted you. Like it's sad to see you go, but we just traded you to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I was like, okay, like cool, thank you. But like, here we go, I guess. And so the Dodgers sent a car to San Diego, picked me up, drove me to Dodger Stadium.
That's nice of them.
Took the COVID test. Took the COVID test and then like started doing a bunch of stuff. And when I got there was a bunch of big leaguers there, like a bunch of just like big dogs who were like already made it kind of thing. And so that was a big kind of like eye opener for me. I feel like when you can feel it, like when you walk into a room and like you're not the guy, like you can tell because you look at all these other guys walking around, you've seen them on TV, you know who they are. They're making $40 million a year. Yeah. Like I thought I was big time until you see them. You know what I mean?
How do you build confidence in that position? Because I'm sure it's got to be hard going in there, and I'm sure anyone can relate. And if it's not sports, maybe it's a new job or anything, going into that new position where you don't really know anybody, and it seems like, hey, that person's this big dog.
Yeah.
How do you like tell yourself, you know what, we're on the same platform, like I'm here for a reason?
I mean, they all did the exact same thing I did to get there. Like they were me, or I was them, just 3 or 4 years prior, or whatever the timeline is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. Like I'm exactly what they were before they did that. It's just like they're a little bit ahead of me. So I think like if you just kind of keep the perspective of that and like understand that everybody has to do the same things to get there, then it kind of just like levels everything out.
Yeah. Definitely. Do you ever hate baseball? You ever have a moment? Yeah, you do.
Hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it. I mean, when you fail, like I said, like if I go out there and have a bad outing, or like even the days that I don't want to get up and I don't want to go train, or I don't want to go to the field all day and do whatever, like, yeah, I'm like, this sucks. But then there's also those days where you go out there and you dominate and you feel like you're on top of the world. So again, it's like, instead of, you try not to be like so high to low and like ride the wave, you just stay in the middle and like the longevity of it.
Yeah, we actually used to talk about that a lot on the podcast, about just,
riding the wave. Yeah,
and almost staying in the middle.
You
like,
have to.
Don't celebrate the highs and don't, I guess, like stress on the lows.
Yeah, don't get too low, don't get too high.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's interesting that you brought that up. That was something that I was big on, especially like a couple years ago, is staying just super balanced, and especially when I'm sure pitching is a great example of that. Is you might throw a great pitch or a great inning, and then every pitch is a new pitch, and just like every second's a new second.
Well, that's what's so like weird about not weird, but like I guess fun, interesting, cool about baseball is like I can throw the best pitch in the world, I can do everything perfect, I could execute it, put it where I want, they could hit it 450 feet, or I could throw a terrible pitch, dog shit pitch, and they could swing through it and I could strike them out. So it's like it really is just so much kind of like give and take with baseball, and so many variables that go into it. Like it keeps it interesting.
It definitely does. What do you think is like one of the most valuable or just a big lesson you've learned from playing pro ball now, or playing like in the MLB, I guess, especially if there's a difference?
That's a good question, actually. I would say like probably one of the biggest things is, again, just like trusting in your work. Like you can't expect to go out there and dominate if you're not going to put it in on the front end. So I feel like you just got to do everything you can to, again, put in as much work as you can and make sure that if you're doing this every day and you're doing it to a T and it's in depth and you're consistent with it, then like it's second nature to you. You don't have to go out there and worry about, oh, can I do this? Oh, like, am I good? Am I like this? Am I that? Like, no, like, you are. So I think like just having that, again, it builds the confidence in yourself. Like that's what you can't lose, because I was telling some of the guys at the facility, like if you can tell as a pitcher, I'm sure as a hitter too, like when a guy's walking into the box and I'm on the mound, I can tell just by body language, the way he's looking, walking, like if he's confident or if he's like, oh shit, this dude's probably going to strike me out or get me out. So I think like the confidence plays such a big key in it, even if it's fake. Fake it till you make it, dude. Like if you walk around with your chest out and people think that you're confident, they're like, oh shit, like why is he so confident? Like what is he doing?
Yeah, that's great. It's there's a quote or something somewhere that says pretty much it's not necessarily like who you are, it's more about how other people perceive you. So if you're able to show that confidence in a moment, especially where maybe you're not that confident, that bluff, it could be huge.
It can be. It could take you a lot further than you think you can too.
Have you always known that, or is that something you've learned? Like that's something you've learned kind of in pro ball?
I feel like I always like knew that like you obviously shouldn't lose the confidence, but I feel like it just as like other things, it's a lot easier said than done. Like if you're struggling, or I go out there for 3 weeks in a row and I have bad outings, it's like, okay, like why am I not dominating right now? Like do I suck? Can I not pitch anymore? Whatever. Then you go out there the 4th week and you dominate and you're like, okay, like you go right back to being at 100%, and it's like that same high to low thing again. And like you just gotta, even when you suck or even when you're great, you just gotta, like the game will humble you and you just gotta stay in the middle.
Definitely. That's very well put, for sure.
Yeah, I always wonder, like, because there's obviously we try to give as much advice as we can on this podcast to like help people find their passions and help them find like the drive to get there. And I'm always so curious because obviously like you've always had like an affinity for baseball, right? And like I guess it's easy to say like when you actually like doing something, like you have that North Star and like you're working towards it. But like, do you have any advice for people that don't have that North Star? They don't really necessarily know what they want to do with their life. Maybe they feel like a loser, like they're at home and they just hanging out, watching TV all day. Like, what should they do? Like, how do you think that they should find that confidence and find that drive?
I feel like the first thing that builds confidence is just like health. So like,
I agree.
If you're not eating right, if you're not going to the gym, if you're not being active, like the first thing you can do is take care of your body. And then once you build that discipline and you build yourself up, A, you're going to look better. B, you're going to be more confident. And then like you kind of just like build that bottom floor to like kind of elevate and do other things. But I think that's the first thing you have to start with is yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. You know, I never really thought about it, but for a while, like maybe a couple months ago, I got kind of like in a little depressed mode. And that's when I decided, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to start going to the gym. And I signed up for LA and I started heading out there. And people get so caught up in like, oh, you know, like I'm not trying to look good. Like I don't care what I look like or whatever. But you'd be surprised. You get in there, you do a couple reps, you really start to feel good about yourself. So that's actually pretty good advice. I like that.
Yeah, the mental benefit and the confidence benefit of looking good or just getting in the gym and moving is huge.
And giving you something to do. It sounds like, especially when you're sitting around and you don't know really what to do, at least if you have, because you know what, from what I've noticed of you talking, right, about how you keep your confidence, it seems like you believe in the things, in the hard work that you've put in, right? And that seems, am I right on the word? Like, so I feel like when you go about your day and like you actually have a routine to the day, that almost gives you confidence about living life.
Yeah,
it definitely does. It's just more structured.
Yeah.
Like, and like, again, like the other day I went to dinner with my dad, and actually when I bought the car, I was supposed to go get the car in the morning. It was supposed to be like snappy. Some stuff was messed up and it took a lot longer than it was supposed to. And so like I didn't get to go to the gym, whatever. And dude, I was exhausted. I felt terrible. And I was like, I've done nothing today. And I feel worse than I otherwise would if I would have went to the gym and lifted for 2 hours and then went and thrown and then went and done other stuff. So it's like, yeah, for sure. Like you just being active and like A, building the confidence, but B, just feeling accomplished about yourself. Like you're going and you're doing something like for yourself. I think it all just like ties into each other.
So what does like a normal day, I guess, like during season look like for
during
you?
the season?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends
like
on
a non-game day.
So like off day.
Yeah, or a practice day.
Well, yeah, we played a bunch of games, like 6 days a week.
Okay,
like
so how's it work?
Wow.
Yeah. So
or maybe what's it like playing like every other day, I guess, then, and how does that schedule look throughout the week, I guess, might be a better question.
For like pitchers and position players, it's very different because like obviously I don't play every day, but I practice and train every day, and like even if I'm not playing, I'm at every game. So like it's definitely different. But I would say on a typical day, like wake up, depends on if we're home or on the road or where we're at. But I'd say you wake up, go to the facility. They have chefs and stuff. The food will be there waiting for you. You go in, whether you want to change first or eat first, whatever. Everyone's eating breakfast. Eat breakfast, go get changed, and then have a stretch time. Everyone goes out, stretches, practices, and then like you lift. Like depending on what schedule you're on, if you're playing, pitching, not playing that night, like you either have a lift or whatever. But everyone practices every day, and then you would lift afterwards, condition, go back in, eat lunch, shower, do PT. And then, so we practice every day before we play. And after you practice, shower, whatever, have lunch, and then you get ready for the game. And then you're at the game for 3-4 hours, and you get done, shower, eat more food, go home, go to sleep, wake up, come back, do it again.
Wow.
6 months straight. And that's just in season. Then you got the spring training too. So 8-9 months. Like it's a lot, dude.
Yeah. So
that's
I was going to say really quick, it's crazy because not only are you doing that, but now you're trying to get into like full-time content as well, right?
No, it's tough. And I got a kid.
Yeah, and you got... You want to pick him up and show him everybody?
Yeah.
Come here, buddy.
This is Kodak.
You gonna say anything, Kodak?
Rolling piece.
No, it's definitely a lot. But that's the thing too. Like you said, I think you hit it like right on the head. It's like building a team around me.
Yeah.
Like making it a little easier on myself. So where like I can just implement having the cameras on me and not really changing my day-to-day too much. And I think also too, it'd be like some of the best content because it's not like staged, it's not fake. Like, I'm not scripting anything. I'm just going and doing my thing, and you catch those like real moments.
Have you found trouble in like recording those moments around maybe people or an industry that feels like that stuff shouldn't be shown all the time?
There's a massive stigma around, especially just in baseball, because it like lacks so much culture and it's so behind, like it's so black and white and like old school. So yeah, like no 90% of the people either A, think the content's stupid, or they don't want anything to do with it, and like they just laugh at it and like, cool, like I don't need you to like it, like I'm doing this for myself and like whoever else can benefit from it. Because if I was a kid and I was looking at someone doing what I'm doing, like who didn't know anything and was trying to learn, that's the first person I'd look to, is someone who's done it and like gone through all the ins and outs of it. Like,
what about more like when you're recording it? Like, are you getting any feedback or like kickback from teammates or like coaches, things like that?
Honestly, at the beginning, it was a lot more negative, and now it's starting to see like people are like, okay, like what are you doing? They're interested, like, oh, those shots look dope, like that video was funny, and like they're starting to kind of like turn that around a little bit. But like as a whole, still, more negative than positive.
Were you nervous? Were you nervous to post or no?
Not like, no. Honestly, not really. Just because, again, like when TikTok and everything started first blowing up, and I saw just these normal people becoming superstars and like making more money than I was making by taking videos of themselves. So I was like, why not me? Like I already have a platform that's handed to me. I have a whole market being in LA. Like why am I not doing this?
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing how much stuff that you are able to do and at the level that you are doing it at. And I think you're going to be, if not already, on that like beginning trend setting of seeing more content come out of places where there is a stigma, and it's really cool to see. And I'm sure that there's tons of kids in all ages getting such good advice and use out of those videos that maybe like the quote unquote haters, like eventually, like you're saying, they're going to start to look at it and be like, oh wait, no, this is actually a good thing. This should start to be changed.
For sure. And also too, like I'm all about doing stuff like that. Like I want to talk to you about this actually. I wanted to like go around to schools and go to like high schools or middle schools or even like smaller colleges, because everyone who's not a pro wants to figure out how to be a pro in whatever they're doing. But like go there, and whether it's like practice with them or just like talk to them about like the mental sides of things, like whatever it is, like helping like younger people who like I could have used that help, but I did it on my own for the most part. Like just like being able to give back and like make it easier for kids who don't really have as much of a chance as I did.
Bro, that is truly awesome.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, do you have any like last advice for like the kid that's watching out here that's looking at you like that's the man I want to be?
Yeah.
Honestly, just like keep going. Like no matter what anybody says to you, no matter how they feel, whether they think you're great, whether they think you're the worst thing that's ever walked into their life, like it doesn't matter. Like you know what your values are, you know what you're good at, and like you have that feeling inside of you of what you're supposed to be doing and where it's going to take you. So just like stick to it and like stay consistent. That's probably the biggest thing.
This worked out perfectly too because the AC just turned back on.
Yeah, that was
this thing's loud.
But no, that's amazing advice as well. And where can if fans or if anybody wants to reach out to you or kind of follow your journey and follow everything you're doing, where can they follow you at? We'll kind of link it below, but for the people on the audio version,
I'd say Instagram, like at K Williams is probably I'm like very active on there. I try to get back to a lot of like a bunch of kids DM me, like a bunch of like young baseball players DM me all the time, whether it's like how do you gain velo, how do you like stay healthy, like how do you whatever it is. So, like I try to answer as much as I can, but like I definitely could be better about that too. But I'd love for people to reach out
and just follow. I mean, the journey that you're on is going to be
amazing.
It's already amazing to watch, but it's going to be fun to see it continue to grow.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of content's coming, baby. Well, it was an honor. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And also really quick, we have a little collab video coming out soon, so make sure you pay attention to my channel because you're gonna see him peg baseballs at my head.
All right, peace, guys.
Yes, that was awesome.
Yeah.